I never believed a single moment could split a life in half, before and after, until the night I stood under the golden chandelier of a hotel I once owned, watching my sister smear cake on a marble floor I had chosen, in a hall I had designed, surrounded by people who didn't know my name anymore. And in that moment, exactly when she looked at me, squinted, and whispered to the manager, "Who let this homeless woman in? Kick her out." I realized something terrifying. My own blood had erased me. She wasn't pretending. She genuinely didn't recognize me. But before I tell you what led to that moment, let me take you back to the night everything first slipped from my hands, the night my life shattered quietly, like a glass falling on soft carpet, breaking without a sound. My name is Sara Ahmed, 33 years old, eldest daughter of a family that once worshipped the idea of wealth more than the people who earned it. For most of my life, I carried everything: my mother's medical bills, my siblings' education, and every disaster that knocked on our door. I worked 3 jobs after university. I slept 4 hours a night. I saved every rupee like it was oxygen. And at 28, I finally bought the beating heart of my dreams. A boutique hotel with 22 rooms overlooking the Lahore skyline. My name, Sarah's Pearl, glowed across its entrance. It wasn't the biggest hotel in the city, but it was mine, built from my sweat, my sacrifices, and my entire youth. My sister Alishba, 3 years younger, had grown up with a different type of life. I paid for her designer bags, her university fees, her European trip, even her failed business ventures. She lived in comfort while I breathed through exhaustion. Yet I loved her, more than she ever knew. But love, I learned later, is useless when given to the ungrateful. 2 years into my hotel success, I met Denial, charming, soft-spoken, and dangerously good at reading people. He came to me as an investor, and I let him close enough to become a fiancé. His timing was perfect. My mother was battling health issues, my sister was emotionally unstable from a breakup, and I was tired. So tired. He began helping me manage things. He said I was overworked. He said I needed support. He said, "Let me handle the finances for a few months. Rest." I agreed. I wish I could go back and slap the version of myself who trusted him. Because one morning, I woke up to the nightmare of my life. The hotel was no longer mine. Ownership had been shifted. The accounts were empty. The loans were unpaid. And Denial disappeared. But the final blow? The buyer was anonymous. I lost everything within 48 hours. Everything except the guilt of my own stupidity. I moved into a single-room portion. Sold my jewelry. Sold my car. Sold my furniture. I began stitching clothes for income, cooking meals for families, even cleaning homes for survival. Life wasn't just difficult, it was humiliating. But nothing prepared me for what I discovered months later. On a humid July evening, an old employee messaged me quietly. My heart stopped. My sister? My hotel? A 150K celebration? Where did she get that money? How did she afford that place? Why that hotel, of all places? A storm of confusion and anger rose inside me. My hands shook as I put on my old scarf, the one frayed from too many washes, and walked towards a hotel I had not seen in a year. When I reached the entrance, I froze. Sarah's Pearl had been replaced with the Royal Blossom, owned by Alishba Ahmed. My sister. My baby sister. The one I raised. The one I fed and clothed. She hadn't just celebrated her birthday there. She owned the place. My breath caught, my knees weakened. But I walked inside. I had to hear the truth from her mouth. Music roared against the walls. Glittering lights danced across smiling faces, and people in designer clothes twirled around the ballroom I once cleaned at midnight myself. I stood near the entrance, trembling, wearing a faded kurta and slippers that had lost their shape. I knew I looked out of place, but I didn't care. I saw her, Alishba, in a silver dress, laughing, glowing, flawless, rich. My heart twisted painfully. I stepped forward. She turned. Her eyes scanned me slowly. Confusion clouded her face. Then disgust. She leaned toward the manager and whispered loudly enough for half the hall to hear. Who let this homeless person inside? Kick her out. The room fell silent. I felt every gaze stab into me like knives. I opened my mouth to speak, to tell her it was me, her sister, but words died in my throat. The manager approached apologetically. Madam, please. You need to leave. And then it happened. The moment that shattered my entire soul. Alishba walked closer, squinted at my face, and said, Wait, Sara? She recognized me, but instead of guilt, instead of shock, instead of regret, she smiled. A slow, victorious, poisonous smile. You look awful, she whispered. Exactly where you belong. My breath caught. What did you do? I whispered. She leaned closer, her perfume suffocating me. Denial? He didn't steal your hotel. She lifted her chin. I did. The hall echoed with gasps. My chest tightened. My vision blurred. My world spun violently. What are you talking about? She smirked. You built it. I deserved it. Simple. And then she added the sentence that burned itself into my bones. You were too soft to survive success. So, I took what you couldn't protect. My knees nearly gave out. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Couldn't stand. And then, she said one more thing. Something so shocking that my entire body froze. Her words didn't hit me all at once. They sank in slowly, like poison traveling through veins until every nerve burns alive. Denial. Married to her. My sister. The girl who used to borrow my clothes, cry on my shoulder, sleep beside me during storms, beg me for help with math homework. My sister. My betrayer. My thief. My heartbeat thudded painfully in my ears as the birthday lights flickered around us. My hands turned cold, my throat tightened, and the crowd around us blurred into a meaningless haze. Only her face stayed sharp, smiling, satisfied, victorious. Why? My voice sounded like it belonged to someone else. Fragile. Broken. How could you do this to me? She tilted her head playfully, like I had asked her why the sky was blue. Because you are stupid, Sara, she said, loud enough for people close by to hear. You work like a slave. But you never think. You trust too easily. You give too much. You cling to the idea of family, like a child clinging to a broken toy. She flicked imaginary dust off her dress. And, honestly, I was tired of living in your shadow. My shadow? Shadow? I built her life, from scratch. Everything she owned had come from my sacrifices. Yet she had twisted the story so completely that she now saw herself as the victim. Did you ever love me? I whispered, but I already knew the answer. Her lips curled. Love? Sara, love doesn't buy hotels. Power does. My chest ached. A physical, stabbing ache. My body wanted to collapse, but something inside me refused. Something that had been silent for years. I stood straighter. Where is Denial? The moment I said his name, she laughed. Oh, you still want to see him? Believe me, he doesn't want to see you. Call him, I demanded, my voice trembling but firmer. All right, she shrugged, amused. Let's make your humiliation complete. She gestured to a waiter. Bring my husband. Husband. The word felt like vomit in my throat. A few seconds later, the hall parted as a man walked toward us, tall, confident, wearing the same smug expression he used to wear when he whispered sweet promises to me. Denial. My palms went numb. My heartbeat thrashed violently. His eyes landed on me, and for a moment, I saw guilt flash through them. A tiny spark of shame, but it was gone within seconds, replaced by a cold smirk. Surprised to see me? He asked, hands casually in his pockets. I swallowed hard. Why? A single word. All I needed to know. He shrugged. You were too emotional. Too attached to your work. Too inexperienced. You focused on employees and guests, I focused on profit. Your sister understood me. You two planned this together? My voice shook with disbelief. Alishba clapped lightly, finally catching up. Denial didn't even flinch. It was easy, he said. You let me handle the accounts. You gave me access. You never questioned anything. I felt the weight of every mistake crushing me. I loved him. I trusted him. I believed he cared. A bitter laugh escaped him. When Elishba told me she wanted the hotel, it was simple. I helped her take it, and she gave me a life I deserved. A life you deserved? I repeated, voice cracking. Yes, he said proudly. Success. Status. Money. Things you would have never given me. My breath hitched painfully. I gave you everything. No, he corrected. You gave me access. His cruelty was sharp, but my sister's was sharper. She stepped closer, her voice dripping with venom. Do you want to know the best part? She whispered. I didn't speak. I couldn't.
She leaned in.
Mom knows. My heart dropped. What? My voice trembled. She knew, Elishba said casually. She signed the last set of documents. She said you were making stupid decisions again, and she didn't want our family's future in your hands. I felt like someone had kicked me in the stomach. My mother? The woman I worked years to save? The woman I spent sleepless nights caring for? She agreed. My vision blurred. Tears pricked my eyes. Elishba shrugged. She believes I'm smarter. A cold, ringing silence filled my ears. It felt like every bond one had ever cherished had been thrown into fire. I stepped back, then back again. My world was collapsing, piece by piece, truth by truth. Get out, Elishba said suddenly, her voice loud, commanding. You're ruining my event, and I don't want people thinking we're related. The crowd murmured. Someone snickered. Another whispered. That's her sister? Humiliation crawled up my skin like fire. I wiped my tears, lifted my face, and forced my shaking legs to move. The security guard approached gently. Madam, this way. But before I left, something inside me, something wounded, furious, deeply betrayed, made me turn one last time. I looked straight at my sister. Enjoy it, I said softly. Enjoy every brick, every tile, every chandelier, because one day you'll choke on it. Her smile didn't falter. You can't touch me. Maybe not now, I replied. But remember this, everything stolen returns to its rightful owner, one way or another. A flicker of fear passed through her eyes, but she hid it quickly. I turned and walked out, heart bleeding, hands shaking, feet barely holding my weight. As soon as I stepped outside, the night air hit me like ice. I collapsed on the side of the building I once owned, and let the tears finally fall, silently, uncontrollably. My life was gone. My family was gone. My love was gone. I was alone. Completely, painfully alone. But pain has strange magic. It burns. Then it awakens. And that night, something awakened inside me. Something hardened, sharpened, transformed. Not revenge. Not yet. Resolve. I would rise. Not for a hotel. Not for money. Not to prove them wrong. But to prove myself right. The moon shone weakly overhead as I sat there, tears drying on my cheeks, numb and bruised but still breathing. And in that fragile moment between despair and rebirth, a car stopped in front of me. A familiar voice called my name. Sara? Is that you? I looked up and my entire body froze. It was the last person on earth I expected to see. The voice was warm, shaky. Familiar in a way that made old memories stir like dust rising from forgotten shelves. I lifted my head slowly. Standing under the yellow streetlight, wearing a simple shower camise and holding a grocery bag, was Adil, my childhood friend, my neighbor from years ago, the boy who once promised he'd always look out for me, before life pulled us in separate directions. His eyes widened when he saw my swollen face, my trembling hands, my clothes smeared with dust and humiliation. Ya Allah, Sara, what happened to you? He whispered, dropping the bag and rushing to me. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. Only a soft, broken sob escaped, the kind that makes people crumble just hearing it. He didn't ask again. He simply kneeled beside me, wrapped his arm around my shaking shoulders, and let me cry into his chest, something I hadn't done with anyone in years. When I could finally breathe, he pulled back gently. "Come," he said firmly. "Let's get you away from here." And for the first time in a long time, I didn't resist help. He drove me to his small rented apartment, clean, warm, quiet. He handed me water, a blanket, and waited patiently until I felt steady enough to speak. I told him everything. The hotel, denial, Alishba, the betrayal, the humiliation, the truth about my mother. All of it. Not once did he interrupt. Not once did he judge. He listened like every word was a wound he could see. When I finished, the silence between us was heavy. He finally spoke, voice tight with anger. "Sara, they took everything from you." A bitter smile tugged at my lips. Everything except my breath. He leaned forward. "And that's enough. You're still alive. Still standing. And because of that, you can rise." I looked at him, feeling that small spark inside me glow brighter. He continued, "You've always built from nothing. You can do it again. But this time, smarter, stronger, harder." Adil always had a way of grounding me, of reminding me who I truly was. "Start with what you have," he said. "Skills, experience, knowledge, and me. I'm not going anywhere this time." My heart tightened. Not in a romantic way, not yet, but in the way a drowning person feels when they finally touch solid ground. "Thank you," I whispered. "For you," he replied softly. "I'd do anything." The next weeks were a blur of exhaustion and hope. Adil helped me set up a small catering service from his kitchen. He bought the ingredients. I cooked the meals. Soon we got orders from schools, small offices, and families. I woke up every morning at 5 a.m., worked until midnight, barely slept. But this time, every bit of sweat felt like fuel rather than punishment. My confidence grew. My income stabilized. And slowly, my name began circulating again in business circles. People remembered me, the woman who once ran one of the best boutique hotels in Lahore. Then one day, a man contacted me for help designing and managing a new guest house. My expertise impressed him so much that he offered me a partnership. Adil celebrated for hours, making chai and dancing around the kitchen like a fool. "You're coming back," he said proudly. "Just watch." I laughed a real laugh after months. But beneath that joy, a darker truth simmered quietly. I never forgot what my sister said. I never forgot what denial did. And I never forgot the hotel that was stolen from me. Months passed. My business grew. My confidence sharpened. I wasn't the shaking, devastated woman outside the hotel anymore. I was rebuilding my empire. And the universe has strange timing. One day, a lawyer contacted me through a friend. "Miss Sara," he said, adjusting his glasses, "there seems to be an irregularity in the ownership transfer of your former hotel. The signatures don't match perfectly." My heart stopped. Irregularity. Mismatch. Fraud. Proof. Hope surged like a storm. He continued, "If you pursue this legally, you may have grounds to reclaim ownership." My pulse thundered in my ears. This was it. The chance destiny had finally carved open for me. Adil grinned like he had been waiting for this day forever. "Now you fight, Sara," he said. "And you win." For the first time, I believed I could. Alishba never saw it coming. When she received the legal notice, she barged into my new office, furious, trembling, eyes blazing with panic. "How dare you?" she screamed. I stood, calm, composed, strong. "I'm taking back what's mine," I said simply. She threw the papers on my desk. "You can't do this. The hotel is mine. Denial will." I interrupted. "Denial already left you." Silence. Her face drained of color. How did you?" I slid a folder toward her. Photos, transactions, messages. "He took your money," I said quietly. "All of it. The same way you took mine. He's gone." Her body swayed. Her lips trembled. No, he wouldn't. But he did. Her knees buckled, and she slumped into a chair, suddenly small, like the little sister who used to run to me after nightmares. This time, I didn't rush to comfort her. "You stole my life," I said softly. "And he stole yours." Tears filled her eyes. "Sara, I'm sorry. I was jealous. I was stupid. I thought if I had everything you had, I would be happy." "And are you?" She broke down completely, sobbing into her hands. "No. I'm miserable. I lost everything." For a brief moment, my heart ached. Despite everything, she was still my sister. Still blood. Still a broken human. I took a deep breath. "Your apology doesn't erase what you did," I said. "But I'm not here for revenge. I'm here for justice." She looked up confused. "What does that mean?" "It means," I said clearly, "I will take back the hotel, but I won't destroy you." Relief washed over her face. She exhaled shakily, whispering, thank you. But," I continued, "you will live with the truth of what you did. That's your punishment." She nodded silently, defeated. The papers were signed. The ownership returned. And 3 months later, Sara's pearl glowed again over the hotel entrance, brighter, prouder, stronger than ever. On opening day, the lobby filled with old staff, new clients, and well-wishers. But the person who walked in last made my heart still. Adil, wearing a simple suit, holding a bouquet, smiling softly like he had been waiting for this exact moment. "You did it," he said quietly. "No," I replied, stepping closer. "We did it." He handed me the flowers, eyes warm. "So, where do you go from here?" I looked around, at the chandeliers, the marble floors, the life I had rebuilt with my bare hands. "I rise," I said, "and I never fall the same way again." He smiled. "And I stay, if you'll let me." For the first time in years, my heart opened, not blindly, not foolishly, but with strength. I nodded. "Stay." And just like that, my story didn't end with betrayal. It didn't end with humiliation. It ended with rebirth, with justice, with power, with peace. And the knowledge that even when life steals everything,